And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking Rosberg commenting on Max possibly retiring, or at least what may or may not be going through Verstappen's head as we entering 2025 and another potential championship for the Dutchman. So we thought this quite interesting article because of who it comes from. Nico Rosberg. It's obviously on planetf1.com, as you can see. Descriptions, links in the descriptions below. But Rosberg considers early Verstappen retirement in F1 leaves a mark verdict. So Nico Rosberg would understand, he's saying, if Max Verstappen retires early from Formula 1, as this whole intensity leaves a mark on you both mentally and physically. And let's be fair, Max Verstappen now has 4 world championships. One of them very much hard fought, the others maybe not so much, but a bit of pressure though for 2024. But Rosberg, as you may know, most of you, he announced his retirement from the sport just days after winning his first ever world championship all the way back in 2016. It was quite the plot twist, I think, and it ended up being the reason why Valtteri Bottas ended up driving for Mercedes. Verstappen, though, it says here, has hinted on multiple occasions that his stay in Formula 1 will not be about longevity. Verstappen's spoken out about wanting to test himself in other categories, notably the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and he holds interest outside of Formula 1 when you look at his sim racing. For example, he has done 24 hours races in sim racing as well already. One of his dreams was to race with his dad, I think, at one point. I don't know whether that's still the case, but there. But as we know, he is a 4-time world champion with the Red Bull team. His contract runs until 2028, where he will be 31 years old. But given his achievements in the sport and what he wants to do away from it, the 2016 world champion Rosberg said the prospect of an early retirement should be considered, which is interesting. Rosberg said it is possible when asked about the prospect of Verstappen retiring early. He said Max has already achieved so much despite his young age. This intensity of Formula 1 leaves a mark on you both mentally and physically. And he went on to saying if he feels he has achieved what he set out to do and he wants more out of life, I would understand his choice. So he goes on saying the approach of Verstappen is in contrast to that of Fernando Alonso, already the most experienced driver in terms of the number of race starts, and with at least 2 more seasons to come in his Aston Martin contract. Now, when it was put to Rosberg that Alonso had admitted difficulty at the thought of adjusting to life without driving, he explained that there is an adjustment to be made. And when you think about it, Formula 1 is very regimented. You get up, you do the races, you do the practice. But even before that, you got the press conferences, you got the team meetings, you got the get up, you've got the physical exercise, you got the training. It's almost like you would live to a schedule, especially during the season. And Rosberg himself says, yes, it's very difficult. You go from an intense structured lifestyle to having total freedom, which incredibly can seem overwhelming. I was lucky because I was able to take the opportunity to throw myself into new projects, but it's different for everyone, Rosberg says. Fernando's love for racing is so deep that it's difficult to imagine him away from the track. And this article here in 2024 February, saying Max Verstappen retirement talk fueled with sooner rather than later prediction, which kind of it does make sense. Max has mentioned it a number of times. Now, Formula 1 David Coulthard fears Max Verstappen will retire sooner rather than later. As we know, he's established himself as one of the greatest drivers. And Oscar, if he will still be in F1 at the age of 40, here, Verstappen replied, yes, but possibly on the yacht watching a race. I already have many plans what I want to do outside of Formula 1, but we will see. If I have a competitive car, it will be difficult to say goodbye to this sport. Pressed to elaborate on the factors that could potentially drive him away, he said the time you spend beyond the time you spend in the car, you have a lot of commitments throughout the year, and you know where you have to be at all times. When as a driver, what I like to do is race, and that's something we obviously saw in the Finnish sensation that was Kimi Räikkönen. He just liked racing; he didn't like any of the other stuff. It's what I did when I was little, he said. It's what I'm passionate about. But you know that in F1, everything around it is part of the sport. It's all the stuff that goes with being a Formula 1 driver, the press conferences, going here, going there, shaking hands, schmoozing, training constantly. I completely understand. Coulthard finished his career, as we know, in Red Bull, believes Verstappen's quit threats should be taken seriously, pointing to Vettel's marked decline before his retirement in 22 as evidence that drivers who start young burn out faster. That's interesting. So, last but not least, I mean, the article itself obviously came inspired by Nico Rosberg talking about Max Verstappen retiring. This is Rosberg announcing his retirement, which I thought was quite interesting.
Before we got started this afternoon, you wanted to say a few words.
And here we go.
Yeah, so for me, thank you all for coming. For me, it's a very special day today, of course, as you know, to receive the trophy this evening. It's going to be amazing. But for another reason as well, I want to take the opportunity to announce that I've decided to end my Formula One career in this moment here on Monday. And
I mean, this was over 8 years ago now, in 2016, after beating Lewis for the title. I think he realised it took so much out of him. I imagine he questioned, does he want to go through all that commitment again? He said he was really committed to 2016. It's happened. He's now a world champion. No one can take that away from him. But he said he intimated later, it had extra pressure on his family, which is ultimately why he ended up, retiring. But fair play to him. Anyway, that's pretty much by the by. That's it. That's our little story for today. If you made it to the end, that's absolutely fantastic. Give us a subscribe. If you're not subscribed, give us a subscribe. If you want to help just a tiny bit more, just hit that like button. That would go. Comment below and let us know. Until then, what I want to do is say, stay safe. Thank you very much for watching, and speak to you soon.